Next interview for the project, and I'm doing the importance of role models and representation, redefining gender through personality appropriation. I have here my next guest. If you please, your name, gender you identify with, and your age.
Okay. Hello, my name is Francesco. I identify as a male, and I'm 31 years old.
Okay, so going with to start off, we're gonna start this off with the first part of the I already explained to you how this is gonna go. So for a more detailed explanation of how this is gonna go, go down into the description below. Mm-hmm. So. We're going to start with the first part, the educational spectrum. Mm-hmm. And we're going to start off with explaining a little bit what a role model is. So basically, a role model is an individual which one projects onto what they desire to be better at. It could be morals, it could be skills, it could even be something physical. Like I want to be better at sports, I want to be better at being a good person. So they project those wishes into someone, okay, and they appropriate those some personality traits from that. So bringing that into an educational system, what do you think? Would there be an importance in the lessons one would learn from these role models? Like, is the lessons you learn from them important? What can a children learn from role models like these?
From role models, do they have to be like teachers or like something from institutions or from everywhere, like movies from the family and stuff?
From
like
everywhere, as an educational value from wherever. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, like, what I think about role models, they're like, I mean, in my opinion, they're very important because, you know, the saying that like goes by like, it takes a village to raise a child or something. Yeah. You know what I mean? My son kind of like corny or anything. But, you know, like, children, like, it's not only what you teach them, you know, it's not only like, someone needs to shape them. And it doesn't really work like that you send them to school and they learn everything from school, like, and what you tell them teaches them, and that's, like, kind of like black and white, you know. There are even some lessons that, like, they kind of learn, at least, like, I'm seeing these all, like, in a personal perspective, right? Like a lot of lesson that a child can learn is from the environment surrounding the child. It's the people that surround him, like the society, and you know, if the entire society, like it's kind of like this. There is not like a really good role model. Like, what else is the child gonna look at? Even though like the child might be like, well, like the purest child in the world, you know, like by always watching like a different behavior, that behavior becomes the norm. So, you know, and like and you know, and it's I see it as a survivalist in that like a child that kind of like sees what the hell is happening around him and tries to emulate it. You know, like you see people like speaking one language and you can speak in that language. That's how you learn it, right? It's like the social behaviors. So that's why the role models are important, because like if you have a good role model, like it's gonna get impressed in a person's mind. Because like that's how I see it. Like when I was a little kid, like I grew up with my grandma. My mom and dad, they were always with me, but like they were kind of like working and traveling. So I always stayed at home with my grandma, right? So basically my grandma, like, although being a woman, although being an old lady, like that was a great role model for me. Like a lot of like life lesson, like I learned it from her, especially like because a small background about my grandma. Like she was like a very religious person. She died when I was like 11-year-old. She was very religious. She wanted to become a nun when she was young, but then like she ended up marrying my grandfather. But so she was super Christian, and she grew, like, she raised me and my sister, like, by going to church, by believing that stuff. But, like, even though I was a little kid, I knew that, like, she wasn't, like, a crazy Christian. she was teaching me only the good parts about it, like always being good. Like, okay, she made us pray and shit like that, but like I could see that like she was putting more emphasis on being good. We don't hurt anybody, and that's all. Like there was, and I could see it even though I was a little kid, because then all of a sudden she would like stop praying and reading me like all the ancient Greek mythological fables, as a fable. She was making me read like dinosaur books, like stuff about evolution. I mean, which like yeah, she was making me read that because like the only thing important was like being good. And
so you were aware there was
there
was
was
some difference on how
a
she was
little
teaching.
kid like is aware, because like you get like those role models, like another time, for example, like okay, even though like my number one role model is my grandma, like my mom had like, of course my mom, like she raised me too, like primarily, right? But like I still remember this, right? Okay, I come from like a how do you call it? Like a mixed family and stuff like that, because my dad is Italian and my mom is from South America, right? So basically I still remember this day, like, and that's like this is an example of how a good role model that like a kid knows automatically. I was like 4-year-old or something, and basically like in Italian the boogeyman, it's called the black man. That's how we call the boogeyman. We don't have the word boogie. We just say the l'uomo nero, But like we're a mixed family, and my cousins are like either like they're mixed as well, or they're like totally black, So I never intended as racist, but since my first language was Italian, my mom told me like, oh, go fetch some wood because we gotta light the fire in the fireplace. And I was 4-year-old. I was like, no, because over there is the black man, and I didn't intend it as a as a racial thing. I just intended as a boogeyman. And all of a sudden, like she looks at me and she smacks me, like, "Pah!" Like you don't say that. And I was 4 or 5-year-old. I still remember. Even though it hurt like crazy, I didn't say anything because I knew what my mom misunderstood. And even though I knew that like I didn't have any fault and I didn't understand, I didn't mean anything racial, I knew that like it's because there was something else going on. And I know, okay, so like there is a lot of
it made you think there's something wrong with what I
knew
said.
it. So like kids know. That's how I always saw it, like. So yeah, it was just like bam.
That's good. It's good that you say that kids are aware, because we can segue that to the next question. Have you read Judith Butler or something?
I know the name, but like, what
yeah,
is she
back in 2001 or something like that. Back in second year, they made us read.
Oh my god! I think I didn't even.
Oh my god! Don't worry, I had to reread it myself to remember. Anyways,
I passed the class.
Anyways, she basically says that in concerns with gender and sexuality, they are defined by performative acts repeated and taken from history.
Yeah.
So they see it in a history book or something, or they hear about it from other people, and they start to get an idea about gender and sexuality from that. Being that as it is, do you think the introduction of more representation and the freedom to follow any role model in a school environment would help a child construct their own gender, like construct the way they think?
So basically, you're saying that like introducing whatever kind of person from every background as a role model in a school helps a little kid?
It helps a kid define what it means to be a boy, what it means to be a girl, and so on.
Okay, got it. So I think so. I mean, like, yet again, okay. I mean, I'm Latino. I see everything as a personal standpoint. You know what I mean? I grew up in this place where, like I was, because I'm half Latino in Italy. So it's kind of, I mean, like everybody was white there, even though it's not like Anglo-Saxon, still white. So I was the blackest thing around there, and so Yeah, I was literally like, everybody would let me touch your hair, you know what I mean? And even though I'm pale white, my hair was black, and so like you still see the difference. And as role models, the only role model that I had in Italy was Eddie Murphy. Like,
Eddie Murphy.
yeah.
Oh dear.
Because basically he was just like, he was like a prince from Zamumbia that goes to USA, and he doesn't know why everybody kind of like treats him like a regular person because he's black, you know, and he just kind of like goes with it. But he's actually, even though he's from Africa, he's wealthy, you know. So that's, I freaking love that Murphy was like, yeah, you're totally, that's me, you know, like like we used to travel a lot, so like we were wealthy when I was a little kid, so, and I was missing that a lot. I was always missing like someone that I could identify myself with, you know what I mean, like someone that like like, I mean, someone, you need someone that like you recognize yourself with, because you're gonna look for it like left or right, and it's better to find there sooner, because otherwise you're gonna get lost. And I've been lost for many years, and I've been lonely a lot, and
Okay.
you know, like kind of like don't know if you're like fully Italian or like fully Venezuelan. Like it's kind of like Balto the movie, you know, like a half dog, half wolf. He only knows what he's not, you know, that kind of shit. Huh? So then it took me, well, like I started elementary school like in Italy, a 6-year-old, right? It took me like good 14 years that I started dancing reggaeton and stuff like that, you know, like drinking tequila in the bars, you know. So I mean, you find out eventually, but personally, it's not the. I mean, it's good that I was dancing with Latino communities, but like I was getting wasted most of the time. So it's better if you find the earlier someone that like, I mean, that you can identify yourself with. I mean, I'm seeing this like more in a cultural way, but I guess it applies for sexual too. I mean, you don't want to be left out.
Yeah, that's actually
I mean, so,
that's actually quite true. You don't want to be left out. You want to you want to feel like you.
Yeah, because
you can find someone like
yeah,
you.
because otherwise, like you're gonna like what fuck up. You're gonna like meet weird people because you might be desperate to meeting people like you, and they're actually like bad people. You never know, you know. Yeah, it's gonna be like a bumpy road. That's all.
Okay, so that's with children. What about adults? Like adults in an educational environment, or an individual in a, no, sorry, I'm saying that wrong. What about the adults?
You're fired.
Yeah,
man.
I'm fired. Goodbye, everybody. No. So, okay, sorry, I misread my own question. So, what? Don't worry about it. I'll edit it.
Okay. At least
What?
I brought my water.
Yeah,
Fuck,
so that's with children, but what about the adults in an educational system? Like the adults that are responsible to teach? Either it could be teachers, it could be the principal, it could be even the president of the school. Let's not talk about that. Do you think how do you think they have the power to how they guide and affect what like do you think they can guide someone to someone to find the role model to follow and help them to help them define their own gender? Like are the teachers responsible for their gender construction as well?
Are you kidding me? Yeah, like, you know, like outside. I mean, outside family, like the school is the first step into social. I mean, you get introduced to like society by going to school. So like, you know, kids, they always talk about their friends at school. That's because it's the shit. Oh my God, he did this. You know, like, so school is important. You know, and I mean, like, the teachers, they have a great responsibility. And I had like horrible teachers all my life. I had like these my elementary school teacher. Like, damn, this shit is getting like very personal here. Okay, so basically my elementary school teacher, right? So she was like a family friend or something, and my father was married before with an Italian woman, right? So my previous brothers, they went to study. She was her teacher in elementary school, and they were fine, right? Then when my dad remarried to this Latina woman, I went there, and that went to shit. like then, like freaking, like it was like seeing like the Third Reich once again, like the Fourth Reich there. Just like, oh, what job did your mom do in Venezuela? And like the English teacher, and she was like, did you hear this? To the other teacher, like mocking me. So like, I was like totally like, what a fucking bitch. I'm a little kid, and like, that kids again, they're aware. I was like, what a fucking bitch. I'm a little kid. My mom, I called my mom right away. But like, they still gave me problems, and it's really. Hello.
I'm recording.
I could hear you from here.
Yeah, I'm recording.
Okay, good. So basically, like, so yeah, like, so basically, like, and I remember that, like, that impacted me a lot because, okay, I ended up in an art school right now. The reason why it took me, like, I'm 31-year-old right now, right? The reason why, like, again, going back to the thing about the bumpy road, the reason why it took me a long time is because I had so many shit in my path that either prevented me physically, like chances and opportunities, or even like as a self-esteem, to actually pursue this career. Because I was a little kid, I remember like she would call like my mom and dad because like I was weird, I was different from other kids, and honestly, like, I don't know, I ended up speaking 5 languages, and I like to draw, like, I mean, like, and I work at a deli, for Christ's sake, like, so, I mean, I guess it's like, that like I was weird and stuff, and yet again, another role model, like, my grandma, she got mad at her. She was like, he's a dreamer. And I ended up being a dreamer. And actually, like, because I was persistent enough, I'm actually graduating next semester, right?
Yeah.
So fuck that bitch. I am so glad she died. Yeah, I know. She was so mean, man. My classmate, he's gonna pee on her grave. Like, he promised that, and we're gonna do it. But, like, yeah. And I remember that, like, she was, like, I was joining class. She was, like, coming to my desk and, like, taking paper of the drawing and then throw it at me like that. So that stuff affected me for a long time. And like imagining other kids, and like if you think about like other kids' sexuality right now, if they have people that like they're totally like horrible human beings that they actually become teacher when they're not supposed to become teacher, like a person can really suffer a lot, especially like young at that age. It's really bad. Yeah. Yeah, crazy shit.
Yeah, crazy, man. So we're gonna be moving on to political spectrum.
Okay.
So we're gonna start off with pointing out the recent rise of political strain and fascist thought in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Not naming names, but you know who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
How important is it now to, as Audre Lorde, another feminist theorist, said, to change the thought of divide and conquer to that of define and empower?
Okay.
How important is it to protest and make xenophobic government realize that difference is not weakness but strength? Is looking for more representation and role models a way to do this as well? So, threefold. What she's saying there is that
how we fight this closed-mindedness that is going on right now.
Yeah. So she's saying that instead of trying to avoid our differences, we should actually embrace them.
Embrace them, yeah.
And that will empower us to unite despite our differences.
Yeah,
so, do you think that thought could actually? Do you think that more representation and role models for different voices in politics would actually help with this xenophobic government that's happening right now?
Well, I always think that like there is gotta be more representation for everything. You know, because like especially nowadays, you know, like it's not acceptable that like we have access to like all sorts of like cultural languages, all sorts of people. Like we can travel like in 12 hours, we can get in the other side of the planet, and then like you have people that like they totally like, you know, that they still have trouble with like black people. You know what I mean? I mean, I think that like we really need representation, but I don't know if it's not looking like it's fixing anything. Not because it's my political view, just because like people are dicks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Because I mean, like, come on, just see like President Obama. Okay, like I don't really know what the hell he did. Like, you know, like apparently like. Besides what he did, you know, like people were criticizing that guy, and like more, or even if criticizing him less, but like he will then get away with half the shit that this guy is doing right now. You know what I mean? It's just like that kind of thing, you know. And so even though like some people were represented, like it just actually I think he had the opposite effect. Because you see, from a black president, you choose a guy that supports like KKK. It means that you actually had the opposite effect, you know. Everybody around the world is becoming like fascist again, you know. Like, I mean, like what Austria was like kind of missed the bullet. Like it was supposed to be like the first neo-Nazi government, like, yeah, you know. That's kind of bad.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
like
that's
I mean, you have all these people that like, I mean, like they really talk about like, and including a lot of like friends of mine, because you gotta understand that like if you're like half white like me, it's most of your friends are gonna be like super racist, you know, like because a lot of my friends they're like, and there is no way to erase them. What do, you know? I mean, you tell them more often like to chill out, but like they don't understand, and they're like they send me like friends invite to groups like Save White Children from White Genocide, and I'm like, dude, you understand that my girlfriend is Asian? You know what I mean? You know, so even right now, you know what I mean? Just like okay, the way that I see it, you have to you know the story about like the reindeer with the red nose.
Rudolph?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, basically, like, it's a shitty story. You know why? Because, like, they were gonna kill the deer, right? They were gonna throw it in the winter or whatever because it was different. They don't do it because he actually was a special. It was a useful reindeer, even though it was like red nose. It was useful. You know what I mean?
Oh dear.
So you understand? Like, you gotta see it that way. It's like you know, there are people that are saying that like there is a lot of racism in China, right, against black people. Okay, but things are changing a little bit because okay, they're trying to like get like more land in Africa first of all, but like, you know, they're still poor people, so like that doesn't really like make them change your opinion because like, you know, but if you're useful like basketball players that, you know, they are good at playing, you know, they bring money, so people that they kind of like, you need that kind of shit, you know, someone useful like that. You know what I mean?
Okay, so what you're saying is that it doesn't matter how many voices there are. You need someone representative of those voices who, like you say, it's useful. You mean like it does a lot of work, a lot of action, and it's somehow favorable by the others.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the way to see it. Like the easiest way is sports. You know what I mean? You know, like what, like Michael Jordan. You know, like then like whatever. Even freaking like who else? Like Mike Tyson. You know, like once you achieve some sort of like power like that, it kind of like you're not black anymore. You're African American. You know, like there is that kind of switch. You know, kind of like so like because people they kind of like respect power in a way, power and wealth. I don't know. It's kind of weird thing. I don't care about that stuff, but like that's what people care about. So you kind of like representation is good. I don't know if it's working, and I really hope it will work one day. You know.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, you just pointed out these problems and that, so I'm gonna reiterate,
something like that.
It's something like that. Seeing that problem, I'm gonna repeat myself a little bit here. How important are role models in politics specifically? Like more representation of gender and sexual orientation and race and whatnot in politics might even help. Do you think it might even help change some of the prejudices in adults and society as a whole? Like, what I mean by that is, do you think that if there's more representations in politics, like we have, like you were talking about Obama, for example, a black president, or even have a Latino governor or a gay politician.
If that influences people.
Yeah. Do you think that seeing those representations in politics can actually change prejudices in society as a whole?
That's what we kind of hoped for in the last 8 years with Obama. But again, people voted for the opposite.
Oh, God,
you know?
Yeah.
And the country is more divided than ever. I don't think that it's his fault directly. I don't know about like American politics, but like, you know, it's a close example that I can do, right? But there's been the opposite effect. Because like sometimes, you know how it can feel to some people? Like, you want to put something in your fucking face. No, you gotta do this now. You gotta do this now. Because honestly, like, I hate politically correct too. Not because it's just like it's a way of saying. It's because a lot of time. See, that's why I understand those people. Like a lot of time, you feel like you cannot say some things. You cannot behave a certain way. You cannot like express yourself, which I understand. Okay, because I wouldn't want anybody like come in my face and say the N-word all the time, which they do. But I'm like, whatever, guys, shut up. But you know, it's annoying, right? But a lot of times it's like you're imposing a lot to people that like they wanna be, dude, chill out, you know what I mean? And you act like an elitist. And when people they feel that like they're always, you know, that they're always kind of like told not to do something, you gotta snap eventually. You know, like hey, don't say that, don't do that. Oh no, like you're vote for that guy. You know what I mean? Like, so I kind of know like about some people complaining because I lived in USA for like 5 years and I have so many friends and family there that I know their complaints. First they told me. Second of all, I can see them from their face, right? Like, you know, they feel forced, they feel oppressed. Which is weird to say because they're not, but you're talking about people that like they never been oppressed before. So like even though like they say bullshit, it's their bullshit and they have the right to say it. So even if you say, hey, be more polite, like they feel oppressed, and especially because everything is fashion too, right? A lot of people that like they just want to be like politically correct because it's cool. Because a lot of times, like I hear people that like telling me that like I shouldn't use bad words when I talk, you know, without if you want to be really correct, you will understand that like I have an accent because English is not my first language; it's actually my third. So if you want to be really politically correct, you will accept my difference as this is my form of expression because I have my limitations. But no, you just stop to shutting people. That's why in that way, it's the same thing as like putting someone like, you know, you always want to like put like a representative of a minority like in like somewhere, right? some people, like people need to be represented, but some people, they are gonna be like, oh fuck, now they gotta put like a black guy all the time. Now they gotta put an Asian guy all the time, which I'm fine with. But imagine like people that they're more, like kind of like dicks. They're gonna be, oh, why they gotta do it? Like what I mean? They're gonna snap. And again, like so far, globalization has been proven to be kind of weird. It's not been working so far. It's been forced. I mean, look what happened in Europe. Everybody wants to be like Nazi again, fascist. There is a rise of these freaking things. That everybody wants to be its own country. Catalonia, Greece wants to separate. Brexit is separating right now. Like, there is so many movements. Scotland too wanted to. Everybody's like. Remember in the 90s when we were a little kid, like everybody was talking about globalization.
Yeah.
Now it's the opposite, because maybe people are getting annoyed of all these differences. Too much difference at once, which I'm fine with it, because I grew up in a very multi-ethnic, multicultural, multisexual family, but people have difficulties,
Yeah. So you're saying that this could probably be a reaction.
It is indeed a reaction.
Of a lot of people feeling that globalization is failing.
Yeah, that's the thing. You had like 8 years of. Okay, I'm talking always in the Anglo-American context here, right? Almost like you had 8 years like of Obama that everybody like. I remember in LA, everybody in Santa Monica and in Venice Beach, they were walking around with the Che Guevara shirt, communist in USA, and while they were texting with the iPhone. And I'm like, wow, what a entitled piece of shit. Wow, go to Cuba then. You know what I mean? Just like, so you have all these people that like, they had these assholes, like, schooling them, and then they snapped. Yeah, which is not a good way to put it, but that's how I explain it.
Yeah, no, I more or less understand. Don't worry about it.
Nice.
So, Audre Lorde, the same person who I mentioned before, said this define and empower thing.
Okay.
She also said that a way the oppressor maintains the oppressed is by making them try to explain their needs while they avoid the need to educate themselves. So basically, the oppressor, like the people who are oppressing them, they basically make the oppressed tell them, they try to explain why they're doing is wrong. While the oppressor is like, okay, I don't have to learn anything. I don't have to educate myself about the problems of these people or those. Like, they can handle it, right? They're like, it's typically it's typical of the excuse of, I don't know who to ask to because that's a problem I don't have.
I know.
Right? So that's the common thing. So seeing that. Seeing as it is, do you think, this is a heavy one, do you think that more representation is a way to take this excuse away, the excuse of not educating themselves, or do you think it's actually giving them more of a reason not to educate themselves? Do you think they're just adding logs to the fire?
Okay, first of all, things don't fix that easily, right?
Yeah.
Okay. This it's like, when like you get in an argument,
Yeah.
like with a person, like a smartest person, like smartest is the reason why it's called like that, right?
Yeah.
Because they're kind of like smarter than that, like they did you wrong, and then like you go to them, it's like, hey, why did you throw that paper at me? It's like, what paper? It's like, that one, I saw you, everybody saw. No, nobody did. What are you talking about? Wow, you got paper there, you threw it, you're like, and you don't know what to say, like that. That's the best metaphor that I can find, like when it comes to like the people in power with the oppressed ones, because it's like yeah, we're complaining, but of course, like if you're oppressed, it means that, like of course you're not like the oppressor. You don't have like the means to oppress anybody, which means like you probably don't have like the military power, the intellectual power, like intellectual skills, whatever. Not because you're stupid, but because like you haven't been trained, like at school, like that much. So basically, like it's what happens is that, like, of course, like okay, given this, like you have a group of people, a group of peasants. They go to the highest authority, let's say the king, right?
Yeah.
We have a problem. It's like, what is it? Tell me. Yeah, like the taxes are too high, and we cannot feed our family, and we keep paying you. And the king is like, what? What do you mean? You have to pay because I protect you. Like, he makes a good case about it. But what do you want the peasant to say? They know there is a problem, but they don't know how to elaborate it. Right? Then what happens? Riots happen. You know what I mean? So, you know what? It's just so more representation. It's only good because like you actually, like, it means that, like, these oppressed people, they will have people from their closest ethnical, like cultural, national group, like to represent them in higher places, right?
Yeah.
So even though like the oppressor will say, like, you cannot complain anymore because, like, see, we actually have people from you that, like, are here seated next to us. Like, even though they can say that, like, but at least there is actually someone that represents the oppressed in a position of power. So it's only good. Like, more representation is always good. You have someone that actually listens to you and can do something. Always given if it's not corrupt. Otherwise, you're screwed. Then
so
I'm sorry.
There are some exceptions. So
of course, right.
representation, a lot of representation in politics is actually good. But I think you were also saying that the oppressor can easily say, "Oh, there's no problem because look, there's a Chinese."
Yeah, they can make a case
here.
right away. Like, of course.
So they don't have to. So it's a double-sided coin.
Yeah.
In one hand, it's good to have more representation because you can have people who can actually do stuff for you. But at the same time, there can be people who can use that as an excuse to say, there's no problem.
Yeah, exactly, right? But it's always better to, you said it, it's always better to have representation. At least you got something,
Something solid.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Hopefully, touch wood.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're gonna be. That was the last question for politics.
Damn.
Yeah, it's really this is the last interviews. I always find that politics is the most intense one, and it's the one that takes the longest.
It is. You said that right.
So we're going now with media, and we're gonna revisit again Judith Butler, who.
Fuck, who the hell? Damn.
You're gonna.
Thank God I passed the class. Wow. Wow.
For anybody who's interested, there's gonna be links to these readings as well. So later on, you can read it by you can read it by yourself if you're interested.
I'm doing it right now.
Okay, so she uses theater as a metaphor for comprehension and differentiating what's quote-unquote real and what's quote-unquote unreal to our eyes. So she says that gender in a non-theatrical performance is more scrutinized than that of the theatrical gender. Because in theater, when they said this is just an act, it derealizes the act, and one keeps their reality in this temporary challenge of it to their prejudice and gender. So basically
it doesn't exist.
Yeah, they basically don't feel that they have to change their prejudice. They can keep their own prejudice as long as they're seeing the act. But the moment you see the same character in real life, quote unquote real life, you start anger. You react in anger instead of in laughter, right?
Unless you're Hitler, like burn those books.
Let's
but it's
not
just
go
a
there.
book. Burn those books. You know, like what a what an
So
asshole.
anyway, yeah. So anyways, do you think this is true of all media? What about the Yeah.
Okay.
So, what about the normalization of gender and sexuality in TV and film? Like having more gay characters or having more female characters, having more.
Awesome.
What about? Do you think that actually changes people's perspective, point of view on those subjects? And what about music and radio?
Okay.
Does that also affect them?
Okay. Leaving alone Nazi Germany, because that's another case. You know, just like,
That's another studies case.
yeah, like degenerate art, like that kind of shit. But okay, like you know, I have a perfect I just anecdote. Did you watch Big Mouth?
Big Mouth.
Is this commercial? Can I say it? Big Mouth. Well, it's only positive thing, you know. We're
Yeah.
not gonna sell it. Just,
We're,
like,
you can say whatever. We're
yeah,
talking
just
about
like-
media, so
yeah, I mean, I don't care if neo-Nazi go chasing me. It just, you know, like, just alt-right or something, whatever the fuck. Yeah. Okay, so basically, like, you know Big Mouth, right? So Big Mouth is a cool little. You didn't watch it, did you? It's on Netflix. You should totally watch it. 10 episodes, and it's a cool TV show, like animated, right? Like 10 episodes, and it talks about like sexualities in the early teens, and it's very cute because it mixes, it has that kind of like dark humor as Family Guy, but it's not just to be an asshole, you know. It's actually like very caring. If Family Guy was caring, it would be Big Mouth. You know, just like talking about like dicks and vaginas and stuff. But in the end, like everything is actually cute, you know. So I was watching this, and the first 3 episodes, even though they were good, like they were talking about like from almost like the guy's perspective,
yeah.
until the episode of the period comes. Basically, there is a little girl that has the period, and I was watching it was still normal, right? Okay, so basically, like there is this guy character that little boy character, right? That he goes through puberty and he's masturbating all the time. He always fantasizes about everybody. Okay, we've been young kids. We know how it works, right? Okay, so it's true, and there is the hormone monster. That's like, yeah, you gotta masturbate right now. Yeah, you like your teacher, that kind of shit, right? And we've been there, so like we were like all like kind of like nasty kids that even our fathers knew that we were disgusting. You know, like, get out from the bathroom, yeah! You know.
Yeah.
And then, but like I never even thought about a younger perspective. Okay, this little girl, she has period. All of a sudden, like she's crying in her room by herself. All of a sudden, from the shadows who come, the hormone monstrous. And I started laughing like a fucking pig. He's like, what do you want? I want to be free. You know, like, what do you want? I want to cry. Yes, cry. And then it's like that. And all of a sudden, he's like, like the mom of the little girl knocks at her door. Hey, is everything okay? He's like, no, nothing is okay. And you know what? From now on, you're gonna call your mother Shannon.
Oh my god.
And the little girl is like, get away from me, Shannon. Get away from me. You know, it's like, I was looking at my girlfriend while I was watching it. My girlfriend was nodding at me, and I was laughing like crazy. You know, I was like, that was the first time that I saw like. I kind of like, even though like, it was about period, you know, it was totally like non-sexual, not judgmental parody of female puberty. That I was like, wow, okay. I was used to see the little kids masturbating every day, you know, like that's funny. It's kind of like a cliche, you know, like American Pie, like so many so many movies and TV shows. We're saturated with that, but you never see that like a little girl that like all of a sudden like. She started having periods. She started like having the same situation of the boy, but in a little different perspective, and that was so fun. You know, it was just another narrative that it was so freaking fun. I mean, and I was looking at my girlfriend. I was like, wow. So that's why, like, sometimes you get mad at me for no reason. It's just like, and even now when we joke with my girlfriend, I call her like hormone monstrous once in a while. I mean, it's good to have that. Like, I mean, I grew up with He-Man. I grew up with like superheroes like that. Like, I love them. I love like beefy guys that beat up each other. That's pretty fun. But I totally don't disdain this kind of other perspective. You know what else I liked? Great TV show. It's the one about the wrestling, female wrestling.
Oh,
Sparkle. What's it called? It's on Netflix too.
It's. I know which one you're talking about. It's the
Okay,
one
we're gonna put it in the description.
we're gonna put that. We're gonna put the name of the show in the description. And maybe I link, wink.
Okay. Yeah, exactly, right? So basically, it's like super fun, and it's about like these female wrestlers that like they beat up each other. I was suggested to watch this TV show by a feminist friend that I have, because she loved it. She used to watch it when she was a little girl. And, I was kind of like, fuck, you know what, like, that's, I'm going to give it a shot, but, like, I know this person, she's going to push me something like Sex and the City or something. But, no, it was pretty fun, too, like, I actually, like, I only had prejudices because I know this person, and, but it's super fun. I loved it. Like, it goes from funny, even though, like, the cast is all female, it goes from funny to even serious serious parts of time, which I didn't find disturbing. I just found that, like, okay, that's another narrative that, like, I kind of know that because of my sister, my mom, my girlfriend too, but it was probably one of the first time that I seen such a depth, and I watched it, and I just sit down and I love the TV show. I'm actually waiting for season 2.
Nice. So with that experience, would you say that your perspective of the female gender, let's say, mm-hmm. Your perspective of the female gender has changed?
Well, honestly, it didn't really change. Like, I only had prejudices with that TV show because I actually grew up with one of my favorite movies was like Aliens. I love Sigourney Weaver. I mean, like, I only wanted to be, when we were playing with kids, I only wanted to be like Hicks, like Corporal Hicks, because he was, again, I actually really liked that actor, but otherwise I was watching the movie over and I was like, wow, she's badass,
let me rephrase that. Not changed your perspective, but make you understand it better.
Even more, I understand even more the need of it, because there are some details that I didn't know of, and we are not, there is nothing wrong in having period. There is nothing wrong of having, like, girls discovering, like, their sexuality, like, that's, I mean, like, let's watch it. Let's watch the TV show. There is nothing wrong with it, So it's good, like, it's just good to watch. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah. Okay. So the next question, I actually pulled a article that I found online by B.J. Carter. I don't know who he is either.
Okay, but at least I know that we didn't study this, so I don't feel guilty.
Yeah, no. This is something I pulled off on online article. Again, links in the description.
Yeah, the Amazon store link.
So it was talking about the cancellation of cartoons.
Okay.
In specific, the Young Justice one, the cancellation of Young Justice. And it basically said that a major decision for cartoon content are the toys. And apparently that also determines the gender of their demographic, that the demographic they're trying to sell to. Where girls don't buy as much toys as boys do. So most shows get canceled when the majority of viewers are girls.
Oh, what the?
How
I didn't know.
So, how true do you think this statement? Do you think he's right in what he's saying? Do you think this is actually true? And why do you think, why does toys have to be gender locked? Like, Why is there a need for boy toys and girl toys, and how does that affect gender construction in a child?
Okay, so
you can answer that.
Okay. First of all, I love toys.
Yeah.
Yes, fuck yeah. So, second of all, I don't know about like if that's a study. Like I'm no one to say.
It's not a study.
It's a fact.
No, it's
His
not
opinion,
really a fact.
like-
It's an article that.
Okay, that like
it's an article. So.
Wow, that's pretty weird. I didn't know. But like, if he says that like boys by our parents, because like we cannot afford that, you know, like we make our parents buy more toys. I believe it, man. Like, come on, when we were little kids, toys were pretty cool. And like, I'm sorry, but fuck girl toys. They're so annoying. Okay, are you choosing to make like a girl toy like brush your hair, or like having like a dinosaur slash, you know, like robot turtle,
Yeah.
whatever the hell, like shooting lasers from its eyes? Come on, you know, like, like, I mean, like, guys' toys, especially our generation, they were awesome, man. Like that was like those few years before video game, they came. I love video games too, but like those were like well, I mean, this is more economical though. I mean, it's like, first of all, I don't think that like there should be like a division of like a difference between like male toys and female toys, especially because I mean, there's a kid is a kid. I know that like, okay, you're a girl, you're a boy, whatever. You wanna put it, okay. You're gonna find your different by yourself. Like, I don't think that like someone's gotta kind of like impose it before. You know what I really liked when I was a little kid? Like, I was really young. Not that young, but maybe like, what, like 6, 7, 8? I'm still pretty young. And I loved this anime called like Ranma 1.5.
I remember Ranma.
Okay, premise of the story. Premise of the story. The main character, when he gets wet with the cold water, becomes a woman. And then with warm water, becomes a boy again. So you can understand how many like sexual things there were in the anime when I was a little kid. So I was watching anime, I was buying the manga, and that's something that I've always missed from boys' cartoons. That like, you know, like this kind of cartoon, although it was not aimed for a little child like I was, but like it had a lot of romance. And I love that fucking romance in cartoon. I wish like freaking like, you know, boys cartoons had more romance. Like I love when you beat up demons from other dimension and stuff. But like, you know, once in a while you can put that like two people are dating and like, you know, they're kind of looking at each other. Like, you know, I mean, put some of that. So I mean, like I would love eventually that like the medias get mixed. Come on, man. Even. It's kind of lame when you're like main character, they never hook up after like they save the world 3, 4, 5 times. I mean, like, I don't care if they're like super noble or holy. They need to bang a couple of times. You know, like, come on, man. Like, they saved the world, the universe. Are you kidding me? You know, like, I remember like when Power Ranger went with the pink Power Ranger went with when Tommy, the green Power Ranger, I was so fucking pissed. Like, she shouldn't be with the red one, you know? So even though I was a boy, I was kind of making those matches and stuff. You
were already playing matchmaker.
Yeah, and I was watching, like, Sailor Moon a lot, because, like, even though I didn't, like, how do you say, like, think I was a girl, like, or anything, I loved that, like, was girls, like, doing shopping and talking about guys. I actually really like that, too. Too bad that they didn't have good bad guys or like good adventures. Okay, Ninja Turtles were better, but like
they had interesting adventures. I agree with the bad guys though.
Yeah,
they didn't have good
but you know what I'm talking about nowadays. The latest like Ninja Turtles. You see that Donatello is trying to hook up with April. You know, more these romances that they're more typically girly. I loved it. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, you gotta beat up people, and then time for romance too. So like, I see the like, I don't see why these themes they need to be like
Separate.
yeah, why a girl should be oh no, the more romantic TV show, or like more girly TV shows, and then like a guys they just need to beef it out. You know, like, and even with toys, I don't understand. Like for example, you know the Kinder Egg, right?
Yeah.
When I was a little kid, it was like unisex for both sexes. Right now at the store, so weird. You find the blue one and the pink one. So I'm like, okay. When I grew up, there were more gender difference. Right now,
They were gender neutral.
yeah, I don't see like a kid is a kid. Make him play with whatever.
I can definitely understand that.
Yeah. Honestly, I was like, okay, I was a pretty messed up kid because I was taking away the dress from my sister's dolls, and I was making her hook up with like the Ninja Turtle or something like. And my sister was getting mad. I was getting in trouble. But like I was playing with both. Like they were. that dollhouse, so many scenes, man.
Oh my god.
If only like the only thing that like that dollhouse was missing was Ron Jeremy, But yeah, like I think that like I don't know, just story should be one, Then if you want to exploit a certain demographic and you want to exploit 100%, well, yeah, but like. It's your responsibility to make good stories, good toys that include everyone. I don't know.
What about when children want to play? Let's say a girl wants to play with cars or dinosaurs, and a boy wants to play with Barbies. Do you think there shouldn't be a difference between like you mentioned it? You don't think there's a difference between boy. Okay. Male toys and female toys. So, how do you think that this actually helps define their gender, or should it define their gender?
Okay. First of all, I think that like those kind of doll games should be abolished because I remember like everybody can play with dinosaurs and stuff. Like you wanna compare something like. The things that I learned personally, like by playing with dinosaurs, I know all the dinosaurs. I still know after like so many years. My sister, she doesn't. Because she was making like a... Hold on a second. She was making like her Barbies play tennis and cooking dinner instead. So I'm like, if you say it this way, like, it's kind of bad too. Because like I was literally having fun, like it can be educational too. Like, okay, well, like you can learn how to do the chores, I guess, but why only the girls should learn how to do the chores? Like like they should be one. They should make like toys and games like interesting first of all, before both girls and boys. And usually, like, this is not the same for girls. Usually, theirs are a little worse. I mean, things are changing now a little bit, like, because, like, there are some other TV shows that are popping out. But, I think that, like, everybody should just use one toy.
Yeah. I kind of agree. I kind of agree that everybody should have a gender-neutral toy.
Yeah, then you'll choose and fuck it.
Yeah. So, we're revisiting again the first question of this section of the media, revisiting what Judith Butler said.
Okay.
What about the cartoons you were mentioned, like Steven Universe and Star versus the Forces of Evil, and so on, which challenges tropes and archetypes regarding gender roles. They challenge gender roles and basically redefining what gender is to the level of comprehension of a child. Are these positive role models, do you think?
I guess, yeah. I told you, I grew up watching like Ranma and Sailor Moon. They were very like, one was like sexually, how can you say it? Sexually like sexually weird for
Erotically weird.
Yeah, something like that. The other one was, even though they were sparkling and everything, they were still naked. I mean,
okay.
I still remember, like,
okay,
my mom and dad is like, are they naked? You know, like,
yeah.
And I was like, no, they're not.
But
so, like, I know that, like, when it comes to, like, first of all, I really like the show, Steven Universe, right? And I really like what they're doing. They're trying to, like, because, okay, there is a big trouble here, like, in North America, like, Anglo-Saxon, they're, like, the weirdest people in general. Because I remember having this kind of same conversation. Oh, I used to watch this cartoon. They told me, oh, I will never let my kids watch that cartoon. And we're talking about people that, like, when their son are 18-year-old, they send them to the war in Iraq. And like, okay, so you just told me that you would rather, and you did, that you had preferred to send your son in Iraq that got shot twice instead of making him watch, like, a sexually weird cartoon when he was a little kid. Like, that's basically what you're telling me. So we're talking about these kind of people. And, like, but I really like what they're doing with, like, Steven Universe, that they're throwing a lot of, like, sexually weird stuff there. Like, when they're dancing, they kind of, like, blush with each other. Like, that's so sexual. But, like, they're, like, spoon-feeding it, like, little bit. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty fun, though. And I like to see a lot of, like, girls characters that, like, even, like, body shapes, they're pretty weird. So I'm still using the word weird because it's not what we were used to watch, you know? Like, even Sailor Moon, okay, back in the days, but, like, they're all sexy, you know?
Yeah, they're all hourglass.
Yeah, like, if you see, like, freaking, like, Steven Universe, like, all the women represented so weird because, like, women, they're not...
They have different body types.
Yeah, of course. Women are different just like men. The only difference is, like, a woman is expected to be beautiful, to be, like, a positive character. If it's bad looking, it's a witch. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like... So it's good to see, like, the one that has, like, white hips, the one that is shorty and, like, you know, chubby, the other one that is, like, skinny with the long, you know. I like that. I really like that. You know, like, again, it's a breath of fresh air. I like to watch those female characters that, like, they're well-rounded, too. They have problems, they're, like, uncertainties, they're strong, they take care of a boy that, like, is totally fine with being surrounded by women. It's fun. Yeah.
So you would actually let your kids watch Steven Universe?
I would make him watch Ranma, man. Watch. And then tell me what happens. Like,
yeah, I would probably do this.
Okay, we're gonna put the link to Ranma 1.5 there. Watch it. It's great. It's the same author. Like, it's actually it's a female mangaka.
Oh,
I don't know the name. I have the tip of my tongue right now.
We'll
she's the one of she's the mangaka of Inuyasha.
That's why I like.
And that was another thing.
That's why I like.
Because it was adventure, but they were always hooking up and stuff.
That's why I also like Inuyasha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everything comes.
Everything comes into a circle.
Know what, yeah.
And speaking of circles,
and this one goes back to that one. It goes like an author from the other side of the world can influence us, like in Mexico and in Italy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, going with what we just discussed, the whole interview and whatnot. This is the last question.
Okay.
And you're free to just let it rip and just say whatever you want. What is your hope for the future? Just
does it have to be like sexually or like...
No, it can be whatever you want, but keep in mind what we just discussed about representation, gender, difference, these new shows that are coming up and stuff like that. What is your hope for the future?
What is my hope for the future? Okay. So it can be everything, right?
Yeah, it can be anything.
Okay, like the first thing that comes in mind is like more representation when it comes to stories. Okay, so again, like I talked to you about like Eddie Murphy, how like even though I love Indiana Jones and everything, but like the one that I really like, how do you
identify with?
I identify with was like was always him, because like like that story was totally similar to my personal story. But then there were not that many characters that did like stories in there. So I was really missing that kind of diversity. Someone that was a little bit like more like kind of like, or like from closer to the equator or something like that. Because even Lord of the Rings. I love the Lord of the Rings. Read the book, read the other book, read the other book. You know what I mean? Just like fantasize about it, read all the discussion and everything. But everything is white, and even the guy didn't like Asians that much and black people that much. You know what I mean? So I always thought that there was some representation missing from that. I mean, some good things are I always ask myself okay, what is south of Middle Earth? Is there something like Africa over there? Are there jungles? Because I always loved the jungle landscape, right? But it was always missing. Even from anime, there were some cartoons, this cartoon, early 90s, that was in English it's called Nadia and the Secret of Blue Waters.
Yeah.
Okay, she's black from Africa and totally fine. It was pretty fun to see that. There was probably one of my favorite anime characters. And so I always miss that kind of representation because it's always been European. Everything was European, even from the anime scene. Okay, even though they were doing their own, they were doing even European, but there was nothing left South America, for example, or Africa or something that I, again, I love dinosaurs, I love animals, so I would love to see that kind of shit.
You would love to have more representation.
Yeah, and right now I'm so happy about have you ever heard of Afrofuturism?
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's this kind of it's this kind of a literary movement that it's basically science fiction and fantasy, but with an African look or theme.
Okay.
And right now the Black Panther is supposed to come out soon, right? And I'm in a way I'm it's awesome, man, because it actually looks good, and it's actually finally, because it's always been a continent that has never been used. Okay, we were talking about fighting games before we started the interview, right?
Yeah.
How many black people from Africa are in fighting games? You don't even need to be black, but how many people from Africa are in fighting games? How many people?
I can actually only count one.
Exactly, right? Yeah. Or how many people from South America that don't do capoeira? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Or don't do lucha libre, are from fighting games. You know what I mean? How many characters, and it's weird. It was only Zulu warriors. You have incredible warriors the Ashanti, Egypt, because let's not forget Egypt is from Africa, Carthage from Africa, might be Northern Africa, but nonetheless, you have all this stuff that they're neglected. If you tell people, it's just people don't listen to it, and they shine out. They even get aggressive about it. Now they don't have history. If some history was better than others, which sometimes some history is better than others, but you cannot be a dick to others' history, because you were just lucky to have a certain history, and other people maybe don't have high castles and stuff, but still it's their culture, and it might have a good aesthetics to it, which I would love to have more fantasy like that. You know what I mean? For example, where do those Mumakil come from, the Lord of the Rings? The giant elephants and stuff.
Yeah.
They gotta come. I always imagine these lush jungles with these prehistoric valleys from southern, where even the orcs don't. I don't know, stuff like that. But it's never been represented. So that's why I like Afrofuturism, and the way it's kind of the Marvel is doing this, let's call it experiment, because even though it's been few years that people have been doing it, right? But at least what I'm telling you, you need someone with power and wealth to matter. Because if someone else made something like Black Panther, it wouldn't be like, okay, even though he did marketing right, okay, it would be like laughed upon so much. Wow, you're doing like superheroes and I'm very stupid, but now Marvel is doing it. Someone like so important like that, everybody's, oh yeah, it's gotta be good. Yeah, you know what I mean? So in the end, it's still good because he's gonna portray something that like has never been seen. But like, you know, like it shows that like there is a lot to do, and at least it's a start. And in the eventuality, I would love to watch more from other cultures, from South America, like from to see, I don't know, like the Araucano, the Mapuche warriors, like stuff like that. There is so many other things that can be taught, you know, the Quechua warriors, or like from Africa, the Zulu and everything. So let's see how it goes. Because even though I like knights, magic, and dragon, it's kind of annoying after a while, you know, because everybody thinks everybody's Viking. I love Skyrim, but like, fuck, you know. You know.
So your hope for the future is more representation in stories.
We are tending that way, but we are even tending the opposite way too. So let's hope.
Let's hope. Let's hope for a better future.
Yep.
Thanks for the interview.
Thanks, it was fun.
And I'll see you later.
See ya.